Hey everyone, this is Ellie Mae with Silhouette Secrets Plus, and in this video I'm going to share how you can easily set up a craft camp that is fun for all ages and it does not take a lot of skill or work. I'm going to use my Silhouette software and I'm going to cut some mixed media paper to be working with, but you can also just use a paper trimmer to create different shaped blanks if you choose to do so. The blanks on the screen that you see are some rounded rectangles that are going to be bookmarks, but they could also be used for other things like mixed media journaling and different things. So here is a look at the Send tab in Silhouette, and then I'm going to place that mixed media paper. I really like this Pointer USA mixed media paper. It works really great and has a clean cut on it, which is not often found with mixed media paper due to the fibers and different things in the material itself. So there is the finished page. I'm just going to remove those, and then I cut several more shapes that can be ready to go for the craft camp setup. And then I'll just have these on the table. So I'm just one sheet after the other. I'm feeding it into my Silhouette machine, telling it what to do. I am cutting some different size note cards here. So larger note cards. I tried to maximize the space on the piece of paper. So I have large ones and then I have a couple smaller ones so I could get more on the sheet of paper. These are just fun little shapes to play around with. They are rounded rectangles again, just with a score line. Here's a look at the setup that I did for round one of Craft Camp. A couple different stencils and shapes that I also cut out of the mixed media paper. And then I started out with a single setup. That quickly changed to multiples. Now I'm going to share a look at this. This is actually several hours of just playing around with the craft camp. We weren't in a rush. I just asked them if they wanted to play and see what happens. There were no rules. You just grab the supplies on the table that you wanted. If they needed something or wanted something else, I just, went into my studio and grabbed some of that for that. But they just took and ran with this. It was really cool to see their ideas just come to life and play around with it. Some of them they liked, some of them they didn't. And I just told them, grab another piece of mixed media paper and start creating and see what happens. The watercolor crayons were definitely the favorite product of all. The most popular technique was to scribble the watercolor crayon onto the glassboard studio mat. It's just a glass mat that I set up with stations for them to use, and then they could just add water and mix that paint together and use a paintbrush and brush that on. So this is just a selection of different snippets from them in the process. I didn't want to record the whole thing because it was several hours that we did this, and we actually did 2 rounds of it. Now I'm going to include some of these snippets so you can see exactly what they were doing and their techniques and how each of these little artist pieces came together. I'm going to put some music in here and then I'll come back in when it's my turn. Now, watching them create and just start playing around with things made me want to do it. So I just grabbed some colors, and I really just like to do the smooshing technique, scribble on there, add some water onto the glass board mat, and then I just kind of smush it on there to see what will happen because I have no control over that. So there is no skill required. You can do whatever you want. As you can see here, they are moving on to some different textures and different colors using different pens and markers, and they just created. And then here is the crafter math from round 1. Time to reset, and I cut a few more blanks with the silhouette, including some tags this time, and then just let them start creating again. The watercolor crayons were again the most popular product. That's the first thing they went to when they started creating with this, and I had pulled out a few more stencils from my stash that I've cut with my cutting machines, and they loved them. So they just started with those, and there's a look at the first one in round 2. And we have a new person in the craft camp. So they were a little bit nervous about this. And I just told them there are no rules, no skill needed, do whatever you want. And then my oldest and I had the same idea that at the same time, we both wanted to try the Northern Lights and see what we could do and create with that. The stencil of the silhouette of the trees is probably what prompted that. So you can see here, they are just using that stencil, creating the trees silhouette with a black watercolor crayon and adding some water to that. One thing I've learned the last couple of years, which is really hard for me to give control away and let go, but just keep going. You never know what it's going to turn out like until you get to the very end. Sometimes you don't even know what the very end is. So just keep going. Have fun. It's just a little bit of paper that you are playing with. If you don't like it, set it aside. Do not throw it away and come back to it later. So here's some more look. We'll come back here and I'll show you my final project in just a few more glimpses of their projects. Watching them play and create art made me want to create art, so I grabbed some of the blanks, set up my own station. This was a little bit before the Northern Lights, and then we had a little visitor who decided that he wanted to help out and paint as well. All he ended up doing was chewing on the end of the paintbrush and sniffing the paint, but he was helping. So here's a look at my first Northern Lights, and then I decided to do a time lapse the next day, sharing how easy the process is. I took those watercolor crayons, I scribbled them onto my glassboard studio mat, and then I'm going to just add some water. So I'm just using a spritz bottle, adding water, and I'm going to smoosh it. You know, real high-tech level here for the skill on this smushing. And then I am just going to see what happens when I kind of smear that around and add a little bit more water. There really is no skill. There's no wrong way to do this. Just have fun, play around with it. Then I took a permanent marker. You could also use acrylic paint if you wanted to, or stamp ink. And I just colored that in with the permanent marker. I do have an artwork piece that's due at the end of August, and I'm wondering if I should submit one of these. And then once you are done, make sure to sign your artwork. And even if you don't like it, set it aside, don't throw it away. And then here's the look at the two finished pieces. You can find all of the supplies that I have used in the video description below. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below this video. Here's a look at the piece I created today. This is the second piece that I time-lapsed, and here is the original piece. Have fun, create, and I hope this has inspired you. Don't be afraid to use those art supplies and just see what happens. Just keep going. Thanks for watching and have a great day.